the car trailer on and we're driving the F truck, which means one thing: going to pick up a car. Going to pick up my Impala that I started building about 8 years ago. I bought it sight unseen from Sydney. It had a 327 and was left-hand drive, and I bought it from Sydney, drove it all the way up, drove it home. I think I drove it around for like a week. Then I took it off the road to fix the motor. It was real smoky, and that just turned into every bloody build that I do where I go overboard. So I ended up getting rid of the motor, put a L98 in there with a 4L65E. I converted the car to right-hand drive. Then I ended up converting the 4L65E to a 4L80E. Then ended up pulling the whole car apart, repainting the entire car, doing the interior, putting it all back together. I pretty well got the whole car built except for the wiring. I just got stuck at the wiring. The task just annoyed me, and I ended up just parking the car for a few years in one of my other sheds and never really looked at it. I generally don't like other people working on my cars, but I was stoked with the work they did, so I dropped it off there, and he just called me to say that it's running, so I'm very excited. Yeah, like I said, I think it's been about 8 years since this car's run, and it's had a lot of major changes. Unfortunately, it's not driving at the moment because I need to do a 9-inch diff upgrade to it. I've got the 9-inch diff at home, so I'm going to bring it home straight away and chuck get rid of the Positrack diff out of it and put the 9-inch in it. And then I've got to get a centre built, so unfortunately it's not going to be running before Christmas, but I'm very excited that I'm going to have it back in my possession, in my shed. And it starts with the turn of a key, which it hasn't done in a long time, so yeah, pretty excited. Finally home and getting unloaded. Gave it a bit of a wash so it's all nice and tidy. And move a bit of stuff around. Caddy's on the hoist, the motor's coming out of that probably tonight. Alright Jace, go up. I love this trailer. Keep going, buddy. Believe it or not, this trailer fits low cars, doesn't even scrape, even though it's on a bit of a ramp there. It usually it's on the flat and it doesn't scrape at all, even with this big long thing. Keep going, bud. That'll do ya. Had to do a bit of a car shuffle, but this thing on the hoist now. So put it up in the air in a minute. Got a 9-inch diff over here that I scored the other day, thanks to Rob. Got to get a centre for it and then put a true track or something in it. All I got to do to get this driving is get the old diff out, put that new diff in, get a centre made, get a tail shaft made. I've got a tail shaft, it's just going to be too long. I have to get it shortened. And then, I don't know, turn the key, put it in drive, see if it moves under its own power. Right, so this thing's still running the original Positrack diff, and with a 6-litre LS, it's just going to get grenaded. And these diffs are pretty rare, hard to find in Australia anyway, so instead of waiting till it blows up and then fixing it, I might as well just take it out now. Got a 9-inch there, just got to sort out a centre for it, but that's the easy part. So get this diff out, put that diff in, get the centre in, and then I can measure the tail shaft, get that made. I've already had a tail shaft made for it, but just got to get it shortened now to suit the 4L80, the front's a bit longer. And yeah, a few other little bits and pieces on this car. Tidy up the fuel line, put the steering wheel back on, well, it's on, but tighten it up. And gas the aircon up, bit of coolant in the radiator, sort out that blue vacuum line that's at the back there. Hide it in coral or something so it looks a bit neater. I've got to tidy up a bit of wiring, like do a bit of cable tying and make it a bit neater in there, but well, it's the closest it's been in all these years. I can't complain about that. Oh yeah, gotta get some headlights too. Well, she's out. I got this car back at Christmas, and the plan was to come straight home and get it all done, and it just sat here for like, I don't know, 6 weeks. Whoops. Anyway, put a couple of these nice new brake lines I made up ages ago back onto this diff. We swapped the wheel cylinders because the wheel cylinders are to suit my braking setup I got here and the master cylinder I got, so Put the wheel cylinders over. Then I might just wheel this thing. Well, I'm not really going to wheel it under, it's got no tyres on it, but get it back under the car, bolt it all up, and then go get a centre during the week. Once the centre's bolted in, and go measure the length of the tail shaft, and we should be good to go. First time in 8 years it will move under its own power. But that's if I stay as motivated as I am now, which is probably not going to happen because I'm sure I'll buy something else and lose concentration. But anyway, you get that. Got some new headlights for the Chevy, but of course, nothing just bolts on. So I had to muck around with it, modify these little headlight holders. And also these boots don't fit on it either, but you can see that notch lines up. That notch lines up, and that one's out by about, I don't know, 15 mil. So just got to modify those times 4, and at least the front of this thing will start really looking good again. Just keep ignoring all this paint under the bonnet. When I first got this car, battery, which was used to be there, exploded and did all that. So I'll get to that one day. Yeah, a bit nicer than the crappy old dull ones. Then at least when I walk in the shed, the car will look half complete. Oh, those 4 headlights are in now. Looks heaps better. Wait till it's night, we've got to adjust them, but obviously there's no point adjusting them while the thing's sitting up like this. Got the 9-inch diff in, it's all bolted in. Just got to wait for a centre to come now. Bolt the centre in, measure the tail shaft, put that in, tail shaft down. Yeah. Maybe drive it. Yeah, just happy to walk up to the shed now and see headlights in there instead of just 4 black holes. That was really annoying me. Well, this thing just turned up. So, next step here is to get it in that. So it's a 9-inch centre obviously. I went 3:7 ratio and it's got an Eaton True Track in there. So, should go nicely with this thing. I just got all the old gasket off, just brake cleaned all the diff, got all the diff housing, got all the crap out of there, so I'll let that dry in a bit. Probably first thing in the morning I'll chuck that in and then get it all back together and back on its wheels. It hasn't been on its wheels for a while. With the dust on the thing. It needs to go outside for a wash. I don't know if you can see that on the roof. That's disgusting. Anyway, this thing starts and runs now. Not really much more to do to it. Just get this sorted, get the shifter sorted, and I don't know, see if it drives. As always, ADHD life, got about 500 things going on at once. Giving the wife's Prado a service, painting up, just chop these down, painting up the end of these, and then put them underneath that roof rack. And finally working on the Chevy. So, got this little mixture of fittings. This is the one that came out of the box. I don't know why it's got that little spigot there, but must be on purpose. So, I didn't realise and I bought these, but it didn't have that. So then I've gone on eBay and bought that. And then if I put that on that, and then make up some rubber lines to go to the front, I'll have an auto cooler. And that's the only thing stopping this thing from driving at the moment is the auto cooler. It actually starts, but it spews all out everywhere because that little fitting out of the box was no good. So chuck 2 auto lines on there. I'll just run for the radiator for now. I'll put a cooler in, like an actual proper auto cooler in later on when I buy one, really. Yeah, that's it. See if we can make this thing spin the back diff today. That'd be very exciting. Well, let's see if it starts, eh? Got everything else hooked up. Yeah, hold this for a second. Let's give her a kick in the guts. Only been like 12 months since this thing started. Come on, baby. It won't rev, but I don't know what's going on. Have a look at the dash I built there. I'm pretty proud of that. Oh man, I just needed to hear this, eh? Well, just had this back from the auto builder. So yeah, time to get her in here now. New torque converter for it. I think it's sitting in the back here. Chuck that torque converter in. Then technically it should drive. So yeah, we'll see how she goes. Alright, shit box is up on the hoist. New torque converters in the auto. Had to put along one of these on because the other one didn't reach. And yeah, clearance a little bit up there while the gearbox was out getting rebuilt because it was hitting the floor. Hopefully it's just enough to stop it. And yeah, get this thing in there today and chuck some oil in there and see if she moves on to return power again. That'll make me happy. Anyone want to come put it in for me? Man, I need to work on old cars more often. These gearboxes just go in so easy. Look how cute the little bell housing bolts are. Yeah, this doesn't even have to sit over the middle of the hoist. Just goes up so good. So yeah, pretty well got it lined up now. So just push it forward, get these bell housing bolts in, bolt the rest of it up. Yeah, it's way easier than working on these bloody things. Alright, well the bell housing's bolted up, and I thought I'd just mention this because I've actually stuffed this up once before and it was the biggest fail ever. You want to make sure that when you got the bell housing bolted up to the block, you can still spin the torque converter before this is bolted up to that. So one time I accidentally didn't have this seated all the way back in here and I forced it on with those bolts and I just smashed the oil pump back into the box, and it was a rebuilt box and I had to go get it rebuilt again. So I'll never do that again. Now I just got to do the rest of the bell housing bolts, get these lined up with there, bolt that up, happy days. Back working on the Chevy tonight. So when I did the auto cooler lines, I ran these hoses obviously from the auto straight to the radiator, and then I left these heaps longer because I knew I was going to put a cooler on it. And I've just gone and bought this. So went a little dash to Pertec to get some fittings. Can you believe that these two fittings are $100? Anyway, I didn't expect them to be $100, but there we go. It's going to go sit in there just like that. And I'm going to cut out those two little squares. And then we'll have an auto cooler. So yeah, that's tonight's job. I'll put this dipstick and everything back in, and then let's now to dig that out from underneath the car. And on Monday, this is meant to be going on the dyno and getting tuned, and then after that, it's rego time. Fuck yeah. So I worked on the Impala all day today, took it to my mate, Troy, Auto Sparky, and all we did was expose more issues with this thing. So, tried to gas the aircon right towards the end of the day. Turns out the brand new compressor to standard 508, it's seized. Who knows why, it's fucking brand new. But it's seized, can't even spin it when it's off the car with a pair of Stilson, so it's just dead. So I've got to get a brand new one of those. Also, I've got a brand new power steering pump, brand new power steering box. It was working, but now I've got no power steering, so I'm pretty sure the pump's lunched. No idea why, probably just because it's sat for so long. I've got no idea. It had oil in it the whole time, but it's also lunched. Then I found some house 2.5mm earth cable from like domestic house wiring running down to the fuel pumps, so I've got to fix that. Still got a heap of issues with the wiring to the gearbox. I'm speaking to the gearbox guy who built it. He said that the inhibitor needs to be wired up to the ECU so the ECU knows what gear it's in, and also I need both speed sensors on the box wired up, and at the moment the inhibitor doesn't even have a wiring loom down to it, and only one speed sensor's got a wiring loom down to it, so I guess I'm going to have to get LS conversion loom number 3. I don't know, I'm just at this point in time just throwing money away. So yeah, at this point in time I think I'll just let it sit on the car trailer for a while, and I don't know. Everything I've done on this car seems to be fine. Everything else I've had to pay people to do is just fucked. I don't know why. I went to all the people that everyone recommended on the internet. I went on all the LS conversion groups and said, who should I go to on the Gold Coast to get this done? Everyone recommended these people, so yeah, guess I'm just gonna have to let it sit there for a while or try and find someone else that can fix it. But at this point in time, just overspending money on it. What do you reckon, mate?
Good.
Yeah, anyway. Oh well, you get that on the big jobs, I suppose.